And ready?
Yeah.
Are we ready? Ready! Okay, so this week in lab, we're kind of moving away from the internal environment of organisms. The past couple weeks we've been talking about how traits that are inherited, how those affect organisms' reproductive success for their species. Well, now we're going to start stepping back and we're going to be looking at some of the external features of organisms and how those affect their survival. And we're going to be using the scientific method in order to look at a mystery creature. Okay, so you have to step into the make-believe role. So step into the role that you are a scientist and you have stumbled across an organism that you don't know anything about, and you think it's a newly discovered organism, and so that's why we're calling this a mystery creature. And you are going to utilize the scientific process to figure out, how this creature lives, what it eats, everything about its behavior, and its try to find out about its niche. Okay, so that leads us to talking about anatomy. And who can tell me what anatomy is? Okay. Oh, so hopefully somebody will give an answer for that. But anatomy, right? Anatomy is the study, right? It's the study of organisms, features. Like their organs, their limbs. And what we want to focus on is something called form and function. That's our key thing today, is form and function. We want to look at why, okay, because again we think of causal questions in this class. So why does something have a form for a particular organ? And the form, you'll see this in nature and biology, that form and function go hand in hand. So for example, why are the wheels on our cars not shaped like triangles? That's a cute, it would be a neat form for tires for our cars, but would that be very practical for the function that tires have to do? So that's what we mean by form and function. So we don't see tires on our cars with the form of triangles because that's not functional, correct? And instead, so they're not triangles, the wheels on cars are circular because of the function that they have to perform. So form and function is something that we see in nature all the time. And if you ever, if you like to watch DIY or House Hunters, or any of those kind of things on HGTV, they talk about when they remodel kitchens, and they say, well, this is just not a functional layout, okay? Well, that applies, to this form and function. That the form or design of a kitchen, if it's not functional, then it's going to be hard to cook, right? So that's just another example of form and function there. Okay. Again, today, you need to go under the idea that you don't know anything about this mystery creature. And we don't want to focus on names, okay, of organs. In fact, I don't care if you know any of the names. If you do know what some of the names are, again, that's not what the point of this lab is, and we're not going to be asking you, giving you a diagram and asking you to name the functions. Okay, we're not asking you that, or name the names of the organs. Again, what we want to focus on is how can we figure out what the function of these structures are, these organs that we are looking at in our mystery creature. And with our mystery creature, we want to focus on three main functions. So, how does the creature feed? Okay, it's got to feed. So how does it feed? Because it is it is an animal. Okay, so it is an animal, not a plant. So how does it feed? How does it move? And then how does it reproduce? Those are what the things we want to focus on trying to answer today. So what organs does this organism have to do the function of feeding, movement, and reproduction? And we also want to keep in the back of our mind, don't forget your assumptions. Don't forget your assumptions. So are you assuming that the organism is a predator? Or are you assuming that the organism is a prey? And so those are things that you need to maybe jot down your assumption when you are giving your explanation for how it feeds or how it moves. Okay, because those are going to be, is it a predator or is it prey? Or could it be a predator that could also be prey as well? So things we want to think of. So don't forget your assumptions. All right. The first part that you're going to be looking at, our first exploration that you're going to be looking at is that you're doing external only. So we're only looking at the external exploration. We're not opening them up at all yet. Okay? So part one, we're doing external only. So what you're going to do is you're going to observe your organism. Flip it over, okay? You can move it around in the pan. You're just not trying to cut it open yet. And I'd like you to use the if and then argument. So if you think that a certain structure is used for feeding, then that's your hypothesis, right? So the if you look up at the, little formula up here, the if is the hypothesis. Okay, so that's the hypo. So if you think that something, I'm going to call them arms, are used for feeding, okay? And so how could you test that? Okay, how could you test that? If you can't test it here in, the organism is dead, so it's kind of hard to test it since it's dead, but you could still come up with a way to test it if you had unlimited resources and you had live specimens. So give your and give a prediction. Then what would you predict you would see as a result of your experiment if you ran it? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to observe it for about 10 minutes, and then after about 10 minutes you need to pick two external features that you are going to diagram on the board and put your if and then statement. And then we will go ahead and do a little discussion about that. So I want to first just, kind of introduce you to your mystery creature. And so the mystery creatures are over here, and you want to model to them that, since they're not having gloves or anything, that these were collected from the ocean, so that's a given, that they're aquatic from the ocean. And you'll want to put a little bit of water in your pan. And so here is your organism, your mystery creature. These are food grade quality that came from the Safeway up the street. And so they're disease free. And if you like to, have some sushi, I'm sure that, you've eaten some of these guys. But yes, we obviously know what it is. But we're going under the little wearing the scientist hat today that we don't know what this is. So you want to, again, do your external, and you can, you put the water in the pan so you can see it kind of floating around in there. Turn it around. Okay, you can, kind of run your finger around it, run your finger around here. But we're not trying to open or remove any parts during this first exploration. Only external, only external. So then let them loose, okay? Let them loose, and then they'll put their things on the board. They should be, like if they hypothesize that the arms are used for feeding, okay, because they have to capture prey. So they're assuming that it's a predator. Since it's going to use the arms, they might say tentacles, it's okay if they do, for feeding. So how could we test that? Maybe, they do a little drawing on the board. Tentacle, and that these arms.